Hi everyone, Kaylee here from QuickBooks. In today's update, we'll be going through a whole range of exciting new features released to QuickBooks Online. We're also joined by my colleague Steve Chasing, who will be assisting with the demo. There's a lot to get through, so let's get started. Let's take a look at receipt capture. Receipt capture is one of our most exciting releases this year. No more lost receipts. Receipt and bill capture is now live in QuickBooks Online. Snap receipts with our handy mobile app the moment you get it, and then just throw the paper away. You can quickly snap receipts wherever you are, or email, upload, or even forward digital invoices to a bespoke email address. As mentioned, there are several ways to get the receipts and their data into QuickBooks Online, such as the mobile phone app, which utilizes your phone's camera, drag and drop documents into the web-based app, or email receipts using the custom email provided. How does it work? QuickBooks immediately sends the transaction to QBO. From there, the program works for you, extracting important information from your uploaded documents before sorting and categorizing information to make it more accessible for you. It uses OCR technology to pick up text on the receipts and populates the fields to save you time. Once the receipt is reviewed, it'll match against your bank feeds. Now that's almost zero data entry. I'll hand over to Chelsea to demonstrate the receipt capture on the mobile app. Over to you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Kaylee. So for our first update, we'll be walking you through our new receipt capture feature that's just been released to QuickBooks Online. So as the guys mentioned before, there are 3 ways of entering your receipts to be automatically read through OCR software. You can submit receipts through the mobile app on the go, and of course you can upload through the desktop, like a file upload, and if you get digital receipts by email, you can forward those into QuickBooks too. Let's take a look at the mobile option first, so recording on the go. So what we do have for you now is the ability to snap receipts. So I'm going to come into Snap My Receipt. I'm going to automate that data entry by sending that straight into QuickBooks. So instead of you doing the data entry, let QuickBooks do that for you. So that receipt now can go to the side. And when I jump into my QuickBooks Online account later, I'll be able to see that that receipt has been processed. And all you'll need to do is categorize it. So just really quickly, that quick add allows you to do numerous things, including sending invoices and quotes, recording payments, recording expenditure. The other thing you'll see there is trips. So we're going to come to mileage in a quick second, but just jumping across at the bottom of our screen to our 3 lines, this gives us a menu. So there are more things that you can do on this app, not only those quick adds. So I can go into my receipt snap and see what I've submitted. So there's the one I've submitted. It's just processing at the moment, so QuickBooks is extracting the detail from it. So we'll come back later and be able to categorize that for someone else, like your bookkeeper or your accountant, potentially. So that's the mobile option. I'll now hand it over to Steve, who will take you through the receipt capture demo using the browser, so online on QuickBooks Online. So either you or your advisor can access this to upload more receipts or manage those that you've already submitted it into QuickBooks.
Charles, thanks. All right, so next let's have a look at our receipts. So as we saw, Chelsea actually uploaded some receipts via the mobile app. So we can see that that Caltex receipt has in fact pulled through. She's actually uploaded it twice, so the system's intelligent enough to see that that's a duplicate. In addition to the mobile app, you also have the option to upload a file here, like so. So I want to go ahead and upload our Coles receipt. And the other option is to forward receipts from our email. So to do that, I'm just going to create an email address here. So it's a unique email address that I can forward receipts to. So Chelsea and Steve's Bakery at QuickBooks.com. And I'm just going to hit claim it now. It's asking us to confirm our customized email. And that's it, we're ready to forward emails to this email address that you see on screen. I can also add additional users here. All right, and we're good to go, so let's hit done. I can now email receipts to Chelsea and Steve's Bakery at qbodocs.com. So let's go ahead now and upload our other invoice. So I'm just opening Outlook here, and I just want to attach the receipt. So I'm just going to browse, find that folder that the receipt is saved to, and let's upload our Kmart receipt. I'm just going to give it a subject. And I'll just hit send. And I can now see that there's 2 receipts processing in QuickBooks. Yep, so there's our Coles and Kmart receipts. While that's processing, I just want to go ahead and categorize the receipt that Chelsea did earlier. So I can open that up here. It hasn't pulled through the payee. I'll just go through and select it here, probably because it's called Cal Stores, but the supplier name is actually Caltex. And I just want to select the bank account that this transaction has been recorded against. So I'll select my NAB account there. I also want to have a look at the payment date just to make sure that it's all pulled through correctly. So yep, the 24th of June. And I also want to select the account that this receipt is being recorded against. So this is my petrol expense. So I want to go down to the fuel expense account and select that. It's also pulled through a description and the amount. So I just want to scroll down. I want to select the tax type. So GST 10%. And it hasn't quite got the tax amount, so I'm just going to enter that manually. So $4.84. I can enter any details. So for example, petrol for van delivery. Now, depending on what version you're on, you can actually select additional fields such as class and location tracking on the Plus version, but I'm happy with this for now. I'm just going to hit Save and Next. And this is bringing me to a summary of that transaction. So right now I can see the transaction date, the bank account that this expense has been paid with, the amount and the GST, the supplier here, as well as the expense account that we're recording this against. So once I'm happy with this, I can create an expense. Depending on what version you're on, you can also create bills as well. There is this Go to Next option here, which if I select, will take me to the next expense to enter. This just allows for faster checking once you've got a whole shoebox of receipts. So I'm going to hit Create Expense. So it's now telling us that receipt's been added. All right, and the receipt that we forwarded earlier from email has also pulled through. So let's go ahead and add this transaction. I just want to go ahead and select the bank account to record this transaction against. Review the payment date. Select the account that this goes against. So this receipt was actually for office supplies. So go down to the expenses area and select office supplies. The total amount of the invoice is correct. The GST is 10% and the GST amount is 73 cents. So let's go ahead and hit save. And again, it's asking us to review the details of the transaction. So the 2 accounts that we're recording this transaction against, the bank account and the expense account, and the date and amount, as well as the supplier. So let's go ahead and hit Create Expense. So back to our receipts page, we can actually see that the Kmart receipt and Coles receipt that we uploaded and emailed. So I also wanted to point out that we do have a batch actions feature, which allows you to bulk review receipts. So for example, let's go review selected. I can basically apply a set of parameters against multiple transactions. So let's say that I know that all my receipts came out of my NAB account. I can go ahead and select that, as well as other things such as payee. So let's say I had a bunch of receipts from Bunnings. I just want to select that as a supplier for multiple. Or you can also code these transactions to the same account. For now, let's just go modify and see that those changes do apply. So it's updated those two receipts there, and we're good to go. So let's just finalize these receipts here. So I want to review all the details. If I do want to change any of the details that I see here, I simply click Edit Receipt Details, and that will take me back in to edit any of those fields. So I'm going to hit Save. I'm happy with that, so let's create that Kmart expense. And I'll go ahead and create this Coles expense as well. All right, so all my coding's done. So essentially we've added our receipts or expenses. So they're now entered into QuickBooks and we can match them off against what's come in through our bank account. Let's now move into the banking section and view that receipt that we entered earlier and ensure that it's pulled through against the bank account. So we can start matching it off. So let's have a look. If I scroll down, these are all of my transactions currently in the bank account. And I can see that there's a few transactions here, so one for Kmart and for Coles, where the system's intelligently picked up that those transactions have been recorded already in the system. And you can actually filter that down by recognized. And there you go. So let's review this transaction simply by clicking. And we can see that it's matching with this expense record here. I can actually drill in to view that expense just to ensure that it is correct. And we can also see that this expense has an attachment here. So I can also open that up just to make sure and triple check that that is the right expense. I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to close. And I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm. All right, and I'll hand it back to Kaylee for a quick recap.
Thanks, Steve. That's really exciting stuff. So to recap the benefits, receipt capture simplifies the time-consuming, monotonous task of data entry, saving you time. It helps automate the process by entering and tracking receipts. Our automatic OCR technology reads your receipts and invoices, meaning less data entry. And if there's an existing expense, you can add and match it to the bank feeds. Most importantly, all of your data is stored securely in the cloud. Our secure cloud storage means there's no need to hang on to receipts. We store fully compliant images of your paperwork so you can find what you need instantly, giving you confidence at tax time and letting you focus on making your business become a success. In terms of next steps, let QBO help automate data entry and try this new feature with your advisor today. Following that, we're going to go into the new mileage report. Are you tired of keeping a manual logbook and not taking advantage of possible unclaimed tax deductions? Just drive and we'll pick up the deductions. We recently released mileage tracking on our mobile app, available on iOS and Android devices, so you can automatically record every business trip and effortlessly capture allowable expenses. We've also just released a further update for return trips, as well as the new end-of-year mileage report. Thanks, Chelsea.
Great, thanks Kaylee. So now I'm going to show you how you can track your mileage on the mobile app, on the go, so you can maximize that return at year end. So let's jump into the mileage widget. I have my mileage set to auto track. So this is a highly recommended feature. It will save you time, but of course, if you prefer a little bit more control, you can manually add your mileage as well. So say goodbye to logbooks. This is a new way of tracking your mileage. So what you can do is turn your mileage to automatically track. It will trace your phone's GPS signal and record all of the trips. So here are 3 recent trips that I've done that my mobile app has picked up. And what I can do is essentially categorize them. Swiping over to the right will tell us it's a personal. Swiping over to the left will tell us it's a business trip. So I know I did go for a run to the beach. That was my choice. That's not something I can classify as a business expense, so I will slide that one over. And that will be excluded from my business account. I know that driving from the bakery office down to Military Road, I was actually doing a delivery. So I will swipe across to the right and just let us know what that is for. So it will let you know you're frequently used. I will make sure I log that as a delivery, a drop-off. Brilliant. Now, you can always jump in and see all your historic trips or your review trips here. The dark grey ones will be logged as personal. Those blue ones tell you it's a business trip. You can always jump in and see more if you need, including the kilometres, what van or car you were using. You can make changes, of course. Now, the other thing you can do, if you don't like the automatic features, you can absolutely add trips yourself. So you can create a trip and tell the system your starting point, your end point. It'll automatically calculate your distance. And of course, you can add your purpose and select what vehicle you are using. You can add multiple vehicles in this app too. Another neat tip that we'll give you is that you can create rules. So if you're consistently going to a similar area, so let's say you're constantly doing drop-offs to a customer in the city, you might want to create a rule and tell the tool that when it goes from point A to point B, that is a business trip, specifically for delivery and drop-offs. So a great wee way to help save you time and tracking going forward. So there it is, that's the mobile app. Plenty of things you can do. I'll hand it back to Kaylee for a quick recap.
Looks great, Chelsea. Just to recap, you can now record mileage and return trips on the mobile app. There's also a new report available for you and your advisor for the end-of-year deductions. As far as next steps, we recommend enabling mileage to take advantage of possible tax deductions. Try the new report today. Our next release is the new auto invoice reminders. We heard that small businesses are frustrated by unpaid invoices. Particularly with everything going on in the economy, they want to be paid on time, but don't want to spend valuable hours chasing up customers. That's why we worked on releasing this feature, to let QBO chase them with automatic reminders, so they can get on with running their business. And I'll hand it over to Steve to demonstrate this great feature. Take it away, Steve.
Thanks, Kaylee. The first thing you need to do is turn on this feature. You can find that by selecting the gear icon and then selecting Account Settings. You want to select the Sales tab, and you can see the option for reminders. Now, if you've had manual reminders historically, you will need to turn on automatic reminders. So just select the box Auto Invoice Reminders. And you can actually have the ability to be able to send up to 3 frequencies for the reminders. So for the first one, I'm just going to say 7 days before. And then I want to select 1 day before. And I'll just set one more, saying 5 days after. There you go, we can have up to 3. Let's say that we only want 2, you can just click this little bin icon and remove one. So next up, what you can actually do is personalize the reminder message if you like. Let's just say something like, please pay your invoice. And there we go. But let's say I just want to reset back to the default template. Just select the Reset to Default Email template. Now what's really important is there's a checkbox here for me to email a copy at this email address here. This actually comes from your company settings, which you can see here in the contact information. If you select here and go to your contact information, if I actually update this and let's just say invoice reminder at intuit.com, select save. Now let's go back to the Sales tab and select reminders again to see that that's been updated there. So that's how you set it up. One thing to call out is you can actually send them manually. So I'm just going to close out of this. And when I select sales, then invoices, what you can do is actually send them manually. And we'll use this email template that we created earlier. I'll just select these 3 invoices here, select batch actions, and then send reminders. So we'll send that through there. And what you notice here is we actually don't have an email address for this one customer. I can actually just enter this now And I'll use the same email address that I was using earlier, and you can save that to the client's record, so for next time it's already saved to their account. There we go. When the order of mine is sent, you can actually see a status change here. When an automatic reminder is sent, the status will change and the brackets reminded will be added to the status column right here. So that's the feature for automatic invoice reminders. Back to you, Kaylee.
Thanks, Steve. It's exciting to see these new updates. Just to recap, you can now set auto reminders for customers and forget chasing invoice payments. You can schedule gentle reminders for customers for upcoming and overdue invoices with a personalized message. Save time chasing invoices. In terms of next steps, encourage clients to set and forget chasing invoice payments. Here's what a customer had to say recently. Next up is the new PayPal experience. PayPal is one of our most connected apps because it makes it easy to get paid. Now it's more affordable than ever because we've streamlined the process to get paid and fought for more competitive rates in Australia. The new experience allows small businesses to get paid fast and with low card transaction fees starting at just 1.7% plus 20 cents per transaction. Customers can choose from various payment options, including credit card or debit card, and pay in as little as 3 clicks. PayPal also accepts domestic and international PayPal payments. Now I'll hand it over to Steve for the demo.
Thanks, Kaylee. Let's do a quick walkthrough. Open up a sales invoice, and you'll see Connect to PayPal, and it's telling us about the new low card fees. Yep, so this Connect to PayPal page is just summarizing some of the key benefits, including those low fees that Kaylee mentioned earlier. So we're going to go ahead and grant permission. It's going to prompt us with some login details for our PayPal account. Okay, cool. It's taken us back into QuickBooks and it's asking us to launch PayPal. And we're just going to hit next and done. All right, so it's saying our PayPal connection's nearly complete. And we're back to our original invoice. I can see that PayPal is connected now. So that client has an additional way that they can get paid. So that's it. It's really straightforward to sign up to the new PayPal experience. I'll hand it back to Kaylee now.
To recap the key benefits, businesses can boost their cash flow, the platform is secure and protected, and you can get set up in minutes. Clients can get their invoices paid on time by giving their customers more options to pay via credit card. You'll also save on your accounting time. Since PayPal transactions are recorded in QuickBooks, it means no manual data entry. And not to mention, you can also benefit from the PayPal fees that start as low as 1.7% plus 20 cents per transaction. For the remainder of this session, I'm going to be covering Cash Flow Forecaster. Forecasting cash flow is one of the biggest challenges clients face, now more than ever. We expedited our release of our Cash Flow Planner to help to make the best financial decisions possible. The Cash Flow Planner is an interactive tool that forecasts cash flow, the money going in and out for our small business customers and advisors. It looks at the user's financial history to predict future money in and money out events. They can also add and adjust future events to see how certain changes affect your cash flow. The Cash Flow Planner tool helps small businesses stay prepared by forecasting money in and money out transactions over 30 and 90 days. Their data imports and syncs automatically for up-to-the-minute cash flow analysis without multiple spreadsheets.
All right, so for the remainder of this session, we're going to be covering the Cash Flow Planner. Now we know that small businesses often struggle when it comes to managing their cash flow, particularly with big expenses like annual insurance, pay-as-you-go, and payroll. One of the key insights we've got from users was that they didn't have visibility into their cash flow and they basically relied on their bank account balances to tell them how their business is doing. What this meant was that it was giving them a really narrow view of how their business was going, and it also didn't take into account any future transactions. So users may then think that just because they had a positive cash flow balance, their business was doing well. But what they might not realize is they have a few big expenses coming up in the next couple of weeks, or they might not have enough money to meet their payroll expenses. Oftentimes they need to dip into savings, or worse still, not pay themselves. So that's all about to change with this new cash flow planner tool. With COVID-19, it's more important than ever for our customers to be able to keep track of and forecast their cash flow projections. So as part of QuickBooks COVID-19 response, a cross-functional team was pulled together to help SMBs by expediting the launch of our cash flow planner. We're thrilled to announce that this is now live in Australia. So let's see how this works. You might notice that this tool comes in two parts. One is the Overview tab that you can see here, and the other part is the Planner. I'll take you through the Overview tab, and then we'll get Kaylee to show you some of the features from the Planner tab. So this Overview tab gives a summary of the user's money in and money out position. Now we've also added some important COVID-19 cash flow support information at the top. Moving down, the Money In section gives users an overview of their overdue and open invoices and any quotes and unbilled time activities that they might have. The corresponding links will give them a quick and easy way into relevant reports and other sections of the product as well. The interesting thing is, if we detect that there's no invoices, then the corresponding link changes into a call for action and allows users to create an invoice directly from this page. The Money Out section below works in a similar way, representing the overdue and open bills. You might notice here in this company that it has the pay-as-you-go withholding section of the GST sections here. That's only because this company itself has GST or taxes set up, and it's turned on pay-as-you-go withholding to allow payroll. Now, a couple of things. Here in the top right corner of these two Money In and Money Out sections, we have the totals. And these totals of the bank account balances are pulling from the bank feeds, which of course we're hoping are the direct bank feeds. So it is ideal to drive direct feed adoption so that customers can get more accurate data. And finally, just on the right-hand column, we've got this little section here. It's currently being built, which in the next iteration will give a peek into the customer's cash flow position. And there's a couple of new sections as well that will be added soon. The first of them will be a section where there will be a few prompts to action that will allow customers to get a better picture of the cash flow, such as connecting their bank account. And the second section to be added very soon is a quick view of their upcoming money in and money out transactions. So with that, that's a quick overview of that tab, and we'll pass it over to Kaylee, who will take you through the planner. Thanks, Kaylee.
Thanks, Steve. I just want to take a second to add to what Steve said, that the PAYG and GST especially are such important information because no matter how many cycles the customer has gone through, they always get surprised with their GST and PAYG bills. So having all the information in one place is just so helpful for the customers. So really super excited to bring this to life. The second part of the cash flow solution is the Planner tab. So let's take a look at how the Cash Flow Planner tab looks like. So as you can see here, the cash flow planner is showing all the money in and money out transactions for the customers. If you think about what cash flow is, it is essentially money in and money out. So what you see here are the money in and money out transactions. The great thing about this is it doesn't matter if they have classified transactions or not. Like I mentioned, cash flow is just money in and money out. It doesn't matter if it's classified. So as soon as the bank feed comes in, it's in the books. The cash flow planner gets updated and the user can see a real-time picture of their cash flow. What you see here is the total balance from all the bank accounts combined. So this gives them a total picture of their cash flow position. There are two views. The other is the cash balance, which is showing how their cash flow is trending. And as you can see here, there's a dip in my savings. So essentially, there's a gap. I need to take action in order to mitigate that gap. And that's the power of the cash flow planner. With absolutely no effort required, this gives a small business a view of what their cash flow looks like in the future. As you can see here, this is not just today. The cash flow planner predicts 3 months ahead, and it does so by a few means. One, It looks at all the recurring transactions that the user has already created in QuickBooks. For example, they may have a recurring bill or a recurring invoice or expense, so it picks that up. It also looks at bank transactions to look at recurring patterns from the bank accounts and then predict those transactions as well, giving the user a realistic view of their cash flow 30 days or 90 days into the future. If a recurring transaction is coming up, it will identify that with the icon that says it has been predicted and it is not an actual transaction in the system. That's the first part of the cash flow planner. The second thing is we noticed how users now have a lot of information about their business in their head. For example, they have created an invoice with a due date that says the 4th of April. But they know in their head that the customer will pay on the 18th of June because they've had discussions and it's not in their books yet. So what we have done here in the Overview Transaction section is to actually give them an option to view any overdue invoice. So in this case, I have an invoice that is overdue that has a due date of the 4th of April. And what I can do is, I know that this customer will pay me on the 18th of June, for example. I can simply update this here, and it will reflect in the cash flow planner. As you saw, it went from a negative balance to a positive balance. So this is allowing me to check what happens if the customer pays me on the later date. And the great thing about this little message here, this is a safe place to play with the numbers. Whatever you do here is not going to impact your actual balance in the books. This is just for the cash flow planning purposes. The second thing that the user can do is look at the future events for money in and money out. So let's say there's a $2,500 expense that is coming up for PaperCo for the 30th. Keep in mind, this is an expense that is already in the system. If the user wants to figure out what will be the impact on cash flow if they don't pay this, I can simply remove it to see how this will impact my cash flow. Not just that, this has no impact on the user's books. So it's all happening just in the cash flow planner section. So that is basic scenario planning, since you can edit transactions. You can change the due date and you can remove transactions. I can even change the amount that I see. Okay, so what if I make another major payment of $4,500 to this supplier instead of $1,500? I simply update the cash flow planner and it updates in real time to tell me that I don't have the money to pay for that right now. So that's another great feature. Then the other thing is from a money in perspective. As you know, in today's world, there are a number of government stimulus offers that are available to customers. So customers can add what we call events for scenario planning. Not only can they edit what is already in the system and predicted, they can also add an event. So let me go ahead and add an event that says, if I get money from the ATO on the 15th of June 2020, and it's money in, it's a JobKeeper payment, and it's for $5,000. So what will happen if I do this and hit save? It's going to reflect in real time and see how it changes the cash flow. So the users can make the call on whether or not to keep their employees. Using this tool, they can make all kinds of business decisions. Let's say I want to buy an asset worth $9,000 on the 15th of June. Can I afford it? Let's see what happens. Save. It's saying I'll go negative, right? So this is powerful, the fact that they can play around with the tool and do scenario planning without actually impacting their books at all. So that's the demo of the cash flow planner. I just want to go back to the slides. To recap, our cash flow planner gives you better visibility into your cash flow to help you make better financial decisions. Try it today.